All right, folks, we're back. So, for whatever reason, the city of Dallas decided that the streetlights that are outside of my house weren't bright enough, so they decided to come by the other day and put in brighter lights. Unfortunately, it had the effect of turning my, what is a dark bedroom, even with the blinds closed, now into daylight at night. And not only is it affecting me, it's affecting my neighbors. So yesterday night, I get a text from one of my neighbors, and she's like, there they go with those damn lights again. And so she's like, I know you're the gun guy. Can you do something about that? I was like, well, that's kind of highly illegal. But nonetheless, she was like, well, I mean, you know, you can shoot it, right? And I was like, okay, I'll try a BB gun. She says, no, that's not going to work. You're going to need something more powerful. So I was like, all right. She was like, she's like, what about a gun? I was like, well, those things are kind of loud. People hear them. That's a problem. And I'm not trying to go to jail for shooting at a light. And then she goes, well, don't they have those like silencer things that you could put on the gun? I'm like, okay, see, here's the thing about that. See, they still make noise. They're not actually completely and totally silent. So there's still that issue as well. Long story short, there's always been this kind of general understanding of silencers that most people have that have come by way of movies and things that they've seen on TV. So to talk about this, joining me live is Jim York from Silencerco. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Doing pretty good. So I wanted to talk about this first because there's like a lot of people have this misconception about silencers when they're in movies. You know, it's I can't even make the sound anymore. It's like or something like that. Yeah, you know. Where do you think that came from? Like, why do you think that is that is what they perceive that to be?
Well, yeah, I mean, anybody that's seen a James Bond movie has always seen the silencer that, you know, he makes that little pew sound and he walks away. No one's the wiser in a crowded restaurant, which just really isn't the case. Yeah. I mean, you shoot suppressed, it's still shooting. You still have noise behind it. It just makes it a lot safer and a lot more comfortable.
Exactly. That's the one thing I told her. I was like, it makes it more hearing safe, but it's still not quiet, so to speak. And then I think there's a little issue of finding around. I mean, I think they know the light was shot. But
right.
Sorry. So from that perspective, there's also people who think that like are you familiar with The Walking Dead?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I forgot his name. How did I forget his name? I hated him and now I kind of like Carl.
Oh.
Remember Carl's little silencer that he had on his gun?
Yeah. The little flashlight silencer, whatever it was.
It was weird. I don't know what it was, like a flashlight or something like that.
Yeah.
How real was that? Is that something that's actually possible, or is that just for TV's sake?
I mean, if you put something on the end of your gun and it's got baffles, it's going to make a gun quieter. The thing being, how straight is that bullet going to fly? I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into making a suppressor, making one that actually works. Mm-hmm. And so, definitely a stunt for TV versus a concept that would actually work and work well.
Gotcha. Now, what about the pillow thing? Because you know, there's the whole shoot to the pillow, make it quiet.
Pillow thing. I mean, again, it's just a baffle thing. You are muffling that sound a little bit, yeah. But in a real world situation, is it going to give you an accurate shot and actually make things hearing safe? I can't say, but I'm gonna guess no. So
we're about 5 days away from the election. Right?
Yeah.
And everyone knows, well, not everyone, but for people who are in tune with what goes on in the gun world, you know, getting a silencer is not the easiest thing in the world.
It's not.
Yeah, right. So how do you see things playing out depending on who wins? Let's say, God forbid, Hillary wins, right? Where do you see things going for Silencerco? Does that hurt you guys substantially? Are there things we need to watch out for, pay attention to?
I mean, that's really tough to say because she's kind of a loose cannon. Who knows what she could do? I mean, it could be an executive order that signs away all sorts of stuff. We really don't know. The one thing is, I don't foresee a lot of change though. Uh-huh. I mean, right now they just passed that new 41F, which requires a FBI background check, and it's a whole process to go through to acquire a suppressor. So, I mean, all the bases are pretty well covered.
Yeah.
I don't see it getting any worse, but if Hillary gets elected, I don't see it getting any better.
Gotcha. Now, what would be an ideal situation for you guys where you just like, from a legal standpoint, I mean, how do you think things will play out in terms of affecting price, demand? Like, let's say for instance they lifted all of the regulatory laws behind suppressors, and I could go and buy them like I buy soap at a grocery store. Who buys soap at a grocery store? Go to Walmart and buy something right off of the counter. Kind of talk to me about how you see that environment playing out.
Well, in that case, I mean, it would be a lot of people want instant gratification, right?
Yeah.
And the fact you go to purchase a suppressor now, there's that wait period of the ATF to go and do the background check and file all the paperwork. It takes some time. If I can go in and get that, instantly within like 15 minutes, of course, there's a lot more people that, hey, I might consider that now instead of now I don't have to wait. So we would see that as a big win for us, and really anybody, making shooting a lot safer and making the purchase of this safety device a lot easier.
I always was kind of weird. Like, I think because suppressors have this kind of nefarious character attached to them because of what they see in movies. It's amazing how dumbed down we've become in society because of movies, right? And I love movies, but I think we've become so good at making them, we forget they're not reality. And and I would think somebody who, it's surprising, like, you get people who are like, I don't like the idea of people owning suppressors. And then it'd be the same person who's mad because they live close to a range and they don't like the noise.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, come on, you're not seeing the benefits here with people utilizing suppressors. Hello?
Right.
Are you there?
Oh,
okay.
sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, and so it's just interesting to me to see how that usually plays out. But I mean, like I said, a lot of it I think is really attributed to just what we see in movies. Because for the longest, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, you could see James Bond jump out of an airplane without a parachute, catch up to a plane, and that's the part where you're like, oh, that was cool, but pretty fake. But then he goes and shoots a guy with a suppressor, and you're like, well, that we can't have. The whole movie is pretty far-fetched. This isn't real life, and people need to respect that.
I personally think he should get a new gun. I love the PPK. It's cute, I personally think he needs to step it up a little bit, but then again, he is the new emo James Bond, so that's a whole nother story.
That's right.
So, is there anything that you guys have done, and I kind of already know the answer to this question, anything you guys have done to try to make the process of getting a suppressor a lot easier?
Well, there's a couple different things. We've got our easy guide that's the current, it's a current, basically, process paperwork. It'll take you through step by step all the processes that have changed since July 13th and make it as easy as possible and tell you, hey, here's all the information you need to know about purchasing a suppressor post July 13th. So that's pretty simple and straightforward.
Yeah. Now, when you say you mentioned something about the changes for the people who don't really know about those changes. What are those changes? How were things before and how are they now?
Right. So before, I guess we'll just talk about a post world because no sense in talking about things that have gone by.
Sure.
Basically, now it's required when you go in to purchase one, you have to bring 2 sets of fingerprints and 2 sets of passport photos, and that includes anybody that is listed on your trust. So you go in, you provide the 2 passport photos, you provide the 2 sets of fingerprints. That paperwork then goes off to the ATF. There's a background check through the FBI. That all comes back once you're approved, and you can take possession of the suppressor. Before July 13th, the fingerprints and photographs were not necessarily required by everyone on that trust.
Gotcha. Now, since those changes, have you seen any effects on sales? I mean, have they gone up? Have they gone down?
Well, I think one of the things was people weren't sure of what was going to be the case post July 13th. So we saw a lot of people wanting to get that paperwork in just because of the unsurety after. There's been a little bit of lull, of course, after that because everybody rushed to purchase one, but we're seeing that come back up again because now they're like, well, this isn't really that difficult. I can still get a suppressor, not a big deal.
Gotcha. So we're going to go take it to a quick break really quickly. But when we come back, I want to, I've been watching you guys and a lot of the stuff that you put out from a marketing standpoint. You guys have a very unique marketing strategy that isn't really commonplace in the gun world for the most part. So when we come back from break, I kind of want to ask you about that and see kind of where you get the motivation to do the things the way that you guys do them. All right?
Gotcha. Yeah,
All right.
Sure.
And we'll be back.